Great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Equilibrium. I'm your host, Bria, and today I'm so excited to be talking to Naza Shelley. She is the CEO and Queen of Hearts of CarpeDM. Thank you so much for being here, Naza.
Thank you, Bria, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited. I'm obsessed with matchmaking and like love stories.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is your favorite date spot in DC?
Oh, there's so many really, really good ones. My favorite would probably have to be Boardroom. I love
Mm,
I love board games and like especially like as a first date, like Boardroom is kind of like low key, low pressure. You
mm,
guys can like play some board games, you get a couple apps and drinks, but you're not gonna break the bank. And it's just like a fun way to like get to know someone on like a first date. And then you kind of ratchet it up from there.
yeah, that's such a good idea. I feel like I would be too competitive for
Oh,
board
I'm
games.
super competitive. I try to like push it down, like,
Hmm.
first impressions, but yeah, I'm a competitive person too. And then, you can boardroom is good because you can like play a game that you're really good at, then play a game that they're good at. So you guys can like, give
You're
each other a chance to win.
exactly a full expert. See, I'm like, we can just go to like eat or something, but that's like activity-based dates are always way better.
Yeah. I
Um, you're also so in real, not in real life, but you're an attorney.
yeah.
What made you so fascinated with matchmaking and helping Black women find love?
So it really just started out of my own personal frustration, like just being single in these streets and being like, wow, like it's really hard to find a person, like to find a it's not hard to find a date, right? It's like hard to find the right person. And so I kind of felt like there was just something missing in the dating ecosystem. And I started like you getting infatuated with matchmaking with like Millionaire Matchmaker and like other platforms that kind of made like expose me as like a Black woman to the concept. Like I'd seen like Mulan when I was a kid, right? So I like knew like the concept of matchmaking or whatever in other cultures, but not really that like no, it really happens to this day. Like people are using professional matchmakers to find love. And so then I was like, well, I want some of that. Like maybe someone can help me find love if I use a personal matchmaker, and really found it difficult to find a matchmaking service that really catered to my needs. And so really saw this like opportunity in the market between just dating apps that are super accessible and like matchmaking services that are less so, but to me, I feel like should be more accessible. And so I wanted to introduce it in an interesting and fun way to our culture, and then specifically to Black women who I think have a harder time finding love online than almost anyone, right? And so it's not because we're not amazing, right? And so how can we make that journey easier, less stressful, more fulfilling? And so that's what we really set out to do, is like build something that could do that.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't seen the apps. I'm not on the apps. I'm a married woman. But talk to me about how, like, what specifically, it's Carpe Diem is specifically for professional Black women, and you have to do a video call before you actually go on any dates with anyone. Where did
Yeah.
that idea come from?
So, in looking at like just psychology and the way that existing dating apps are set up, they're very low barrier to entry. So it's like you add a photo and then like you're swiping. It's really great because on one hand, because it like destigmatized dating and it gives you access to so many people. So you're kind of like, wow, like the world is so big. There's so many amazing singles out there. But then it also makes you devalue dating, and then people lean into texting as a form of communication, and it really shouldn't be, especially when you actually don't know the person. Like I misconstrue text from my own mother, like let alone like trying to decipher text messages and intent from a complete stranger that I've never met before, right? So there's a lot of psychology behind why you shouldn't rely on text messaging as like a primary form of communication, and we wanted to lean into that, and we wanted to help people establish chemistry faster and like actually humanize the person on the other end of their messages, right? Because I think one of the things that singles think is like, oh, it doesn't matter if I ghost this person, like I don't really know them, or I can be responsive one day and then 6 days later pop back up and be like, oh hey, like how you
Hmm.
doing? And so for us, it's like, no, if your first communication is in a video date and you're talking to that person and you guys have a connection, you guys hit it off, and then you ghost them after that, there's like really no coming back from that, right? Like you're pretty much kind of letting that relationship die on the vine.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's like, how do we drive you to chemistry, connection, meaningfully interacting with each other, like the fastest way possible? And for us, it's requiring that the first interaction between our members is a 5 to 10 minute video date.
Wow. Is there like, so if you get on the call and you're like immediately like, I don't like this person, can you just exit out? Like it's
I
just,
mean, sure.
and if you really like them, can you stay on for like an hour?
So the way that it works on our platform is that you have your video date, you schedule it, it's 5 to 10 minutes. It's, to me, hella rude if you hang up on somebody. Like it's not like you haven't seen the person before the video date, right? You just haven't spoken to them. So like
Mhm.
you see their video, like we have intro videos in our app. So people like introduce themselves via video. And then you see their pictures, you see their profile. So you get to see all this information about the person before the video date, right? So
Oh,
it's
okay.
not like it's a blind date, right?
Yeah.
It's just your first interaction with the person. It's not through text messaging. So you shouldn't really be hanging up on the person because you've already established that you're kind of attracted to the person, that you're willing to give it a shot. And then you have that 5 to 10 minute date to see if there's chemistry, right? To see if there's like good conversation, if there's banter, if you guys kind of click. And then we require that the first video date is only 5 to 10 minutes because you may be having a great time and the other person may not, right? So
Yeah.
we don't want to assume that both people are having a shared and similar experience. So the first date is 5. It has to last at least 5 minutes. I think that's the right amount of time to kind of get the juices
Well,
going.
you know.
When you know, you know.
Yeah.
And then it ends at 10 minutes. And then at that 10-minute mark, we ask you both if you want to remain matched. So unless both of you say yes, I want to remain matched, then you can't continue communicating with each other. But if you both say yes, that you want to remain matched, then you guys can host video dates again that aren't timed and limited. You guys can chat with each other, you guys can send text messages, you guys can send memes and videos and whatever you want in the
Oh,
platform. So it's really just about that first initial screening. It's not meant to prevent you guys from actually like deepening that connection after you've both established that, like, hey, I'm kind of interested in it, I'm like kind of digging this person, right? So it's really a helpful process to getting people to interact with each other.
that makes so much sense.
Thanks.
Like, I mean, because you see on like Hinge or Tinder, like all the other apps where it's just a quick like message here and there, you don't really get to know the person. And then
Yeah.
obviously I feel like there's also safety concerns too if you're just like, hey, I'll meet you at this restaurant or like at my house or something. And it's like, I feel like your app eliminates a lot of that concern with
Yeah.
safety. And you also do background checks as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. So
That's good.
yeah, it was really, when looking at the dating landscape and, common concerns that singles have, especially minority women and Black women, like we face more violence, we face more, abuse online and in person. We're more likely to be like attacked if we actually go on a date. And so to me, it was like a no-brainer that we should screen our members meaningfully. So not only do we meet and interview all of our members, so we'd meet like this, I'd see you, you'd see me, we'd have a little back and forth, I'd make sure you seem like a good fit for the community. Then you go for a background check, right? And so for us, it's really important that we verify that you're not on a sex offender registry, that you don't have a history of domestic violence or violent crimes, that you don't have a history of like scamming people or like embezzlement or theft, right?
Yeah.
Because then you're interacting with other people in our community. And so nothing is foolproof or fail proof. Like it still requires our members to be diligent about their own safety and like move at a pace that they're comfortable with. But it allows us to feel like we're doing our part to foster and create a community of singles that are like-minded, that are focused on the right thing, which is meaningfully connecting and having those and building those relationships. And it removes that barrier between you and the chemistry, right? We're always talking about getting to the chemistry. It's hard for me to get to the chemistry if I'm wondering if you're a psychopath, right? Like
Yeah.
it's hard if I'm trying to like ask you random questions like, have you ever been to jail before? Like,
Yeah.
these are things that like we want to remove as barriers to our members being able to actually communicate and interact with each other. And that was one of the things that was really important to us.
I mean, again, makes so much sense where you think like the other apps or like other people would think of that beforehand. Um, how long does this process take? Like if someone comes to you, they're like, "Hey, Nisa, I really like to be a part of the app." How long does that typically take?
So usually about 2 weeks, but it depends on a couple of factors. So we are so excited and so grateful that we have people applying from all over the country. So I mean, we have people applying from all over the country, all over the world, really. Like, and that's super exciting for us, but we're focused on the DMV area for the time being. So we're focused on building our community in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. And then we're looking at where we're going to be next. And we're super excited about laying the foundation for like launching in New York, in Atlanta, Chicago. So if you apply and you're not in the DMV area, then most likely you'll get some type of messaging that lets you know that we're holding your application. And that obviously extends the time period for you to be able to get on the platform. Otherwise, we typically review your profile within a week. Then you're invited to schedule an interview with a matchmaker, and that's really on you, right? Like
Oh, I see.
you schedule your interview with a matchmaker, but it's at a time that's convenient for your schedule. So if you don't schedule your interview for 3 weeks, then you don't meet with a
Yeah.
matchmaker for 3 weeks, right? So, but if you schedule your interview the next day, then you're on a call with the matchmaker the very next day. And then the last step is doing your background check. So that usually takes between 48 and 72 hours. And then sometimes a little bit longer if the third party background check company has any issues verifying anything. So, I mean, we have people that literally become members within 7 days. The average time is about 12 to 14 days.
Mhm.
And we're always working on ways to speed that up, but some of it's not contingent on our action. It's really contingent on the members schedule.
That makes sense. I always get in fights with my husband about because I watch a lot of reality dating shows.
Mhm. Me too.
Um, which one's your favorite?
I think Love is Blind.
Okay, okay. I like Love is Blind too. My favorite one is Married at First Sight.
Oh, Married at First Sight's really good too. Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
hate like I'm watching the recent season and I absolutely hate it because I think it's boring, but that's a whole nother conversation. What was I gonna ask you? Oh, when I'm interested in the matchmaking process. So what are the typical questions that a matchmaker would ask someone that wants to join the app? Is it based, solely off of like, what are your values? Like, what are you looking for? Like outer appearance? Like, what is the typical? How does it go?
Yeah, so it's a detailed kind of experience and it's not just like one meeting with your matchmaker, right? So like you have your initial interview with your matchmaker, and that's where we're kind of like vetting, you know, do you have reasonable expectations for like what our community and what our service can actually do for you and like your
Mm.
journey to find love? Like, and then we kind of we figure out like some of the deal breakers that you have, like some things that are really important to you. And a lot of the stuff that we ask has been designed in consultation with a psychologist. So it really like some of these things kind of delve a little bit deeper into like your personality, like what exactly it is that you're looking for. And then when you actually get on the app itself, there's a 50-point questionnaire. So before we send you a match, you have to answer all 50 questions as well as upload your video. So
Oh,
everyone answers the same questions, right? So you see the same information in your profile as a match's profile that is served to you, and everyone has a profile video and photos. And so for us, it's really important to put everybody on an equal playing field when it comes to what information is shared and is not shared, because something that may be important and a deal breaker to me may not be important to you, right? So your income may be important to me, but to you, maybe the biggest thing is like whether or not I want to have kids, right? And so we just try to democratize that
yeah.
information so that everybody can see that and we can all make decisions about who we want to interact with, in an informed way. And then just our matchmakers, like I said, it's not just a one and done. Like, so I may meet with you for your interview and I think that I've got it. I know exactly the type of person that you're looking for. I may send you two matches and you reject them. And I'm like, what is going on?
Hmm.
I thought that I understood exactly what she was looking for or he was looking for, and they're rejecting the match that I sent them. Then I might need a call with you, right? So
Oh. Okay.
You can message me in the app, I can message you, and then I may have to set up a phone call with you and say like, hey, I just want to go through your expectations. Like, this is what you said to me. Like, you said that you're looking for someone like this, and this is what I delivered. So it's always about a feedback loop. It's always about how we can hone in better to ensure that we're sending you matches that are compatible with what it is that you're looking for. And it's not a one and done type of experience. It's a, iterative process.
That is so nice. I feel like you should be, helping these reality shows find the matches because they never work out. And it's like
Yeah.
they don't ask the important questions like dealing with money, dealing with children, like the things that are like top of the list for divorces or
Yeah.
like why people break up.
Yeah.
Um, I want to know about a success story from your app. Do you have a fun one to share?
Yeah, sure. So I will caveat, we just launched in December, right? So
Oh, is it that new?
yeah, it's so we
Oh,
launched applications in February of last year.
I
So we
see.
pretty much were like, if you want to apply, if this is something that you're interested in, like, submit an application. And then we fully launched in December and we started matching our members, right? So
Oh.
we don't have anyone yet that's like married and off the platform, but we have people on our platform that are dating and really getting excited to get to know each other. We have people that we matched, last week that they did their video dates and now they're going out on dates this week, right? So for us, it's the momentum and the movement and getting people interacting. And ultimately, love is never guaranteed, right? But like for me, I'm also like, is the quality of your experience using our platform and meeting people on our platform better, right? Like markedly better than the quality that you're having on other services? Because to me, that's also an indicator of success. Like if people are like, you know what, like I had my, 6-month membership. I didn't find love, right? Like I didn't find my person, but I'm renewing, right? Because the
Mhm.
quality of the people that you guys are introducing me to is top notch and the experience. I know I'm getting closer to finding that right person and working directly with my matchmaker. So those are things I try to keep top of mind when I think about what success looks like for us and our team, as well as for our members.
Wow, you were serious.
Oh yeah.
You did not come to play. I want to talk about the
Passionate.
experience. What'd you say?
Yeah, we're passionate about this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I want to get that call from you where you're like, we're had the first engagement. That's so exciting. It makes me like so happy. Like I'm obsessed with love. um, I want to talk about the experience for Black women on apps and, how you're creating, a safe space for Black women and, making them feel more confident in the dating sphere, more valued. Talk a little bit about how you're doing that and, what we're sort of facing on other apps and how we can help that.
Yeah, one of the first question when you go to submit an application on CarpeDM is, you know, are you a professional Black woman? Are you looking to date a professional Black woman? Are you neither? Right. And if you say,
Mm,
I am neither, we pretty much tell you this is not the app for you. Right. And it's not because we're trying to be exclusionary, it's because we're trying to really elevate Black women and provide a safe space for us and those who are genuinely interested in forming relationships with us to interact with each other, right? And so this is not a community that is for everybody, but it's intentionally built for Black women because there is nothing else out there like it for us, right? And this
yeah.
is from my own personal experience trying to use other matchmaking services before resulting in creating my own, right? And like being told like, oh, we don't have the clientele, like we don't really have that many Black members, or like, this is going to cost $20,000 for us to be able to match you, or, and so for me, it was definitely about like putting Black women first, elevating our experience, and then realizing that our experience is unique and different from other people and other ethnicities on dating services. Like where 1 in 4 Black women report receiving racial or hypersexualized texts. I can raise my hand to that. Like people talking out of the side of their mouth or just sending you something crazy or insensitive. We're, like I said earlier, more likely to face violence, right? So even just the fact that we're putting ourselves out there on dating services increases the likelihood that we're going to face some type of violence in interacting with suitors like on these platforms, right? And so how do we create something that combats that, like not just a feature or like a gimmick, but like holistically. And that's why that's the really the way that we looked at dating. Like we feel like we built a service that anyone would want to use, right? It's
Mm.
not like oh, this is like a token service for Black people. Like we just, put noir or black on
Yes.
something, Tinder noir. Like, no,
Yeah.
like we really created a completely different platform and looked from the bottom up on how we can make this something that's amazing for Black women, and we're excited to do that, and we believe that we deserve that type of thought and attention put into how we can solve our major pain point, which is how do we find amazing suitable candidates, right, for us to build our lives with. I mean, what's the alternative is like not getting married, not being coupled, not building generational wealth. And that's not to say that Black women, we're doing it on our own, right, to a certain extent, but we know that the fastest way to build generational wealth is to be in a two-person and two-income household, right? Like we know we want to raise our families that way. We there's a shift in our culture and in our society towards really valuing the family, valuing having two parents in the household, understanding our market value and what we can bring to the table, and how do we pass that along to our next generations. And so for us, we really built CarpeDM around a three-pronged mission,
Mm.
which is elevate Black women, help create generational wealth in the community through the formation of strong two-income households, and then give Black. So we say give Black instead of give back, but we give 5% of our subscription revenue to organizations doing amazing work in the Black community.
You are so impressive.
Thank you.
Like, I had no idea. I mean, oh, wow. I mean, that makes so much sense. So I'm just like digesting everything in the 6 hours. Wow. That's amazing. What is the first organization that you are planning to give money to?
Yeah, so our first partnership is with 100 Black Men of Greater Washington, D.C., and then also Black Girl Ventures. So those are the two organizations that we have as our donation partners. They do amazing work, and we're super excited to be working with them and being able to kind of give back. We're hoping that we're able to write them some decent sized checks this year
Yeah.
based on our subscription revenue.
Wow. Okay. I want to know about your background. I think you were so great. So tell
Oh,
me a
thank
little bit about
you.
your background.
I am the youngest of three. My mom is amazing. She's kind of like my, North Star. She's a former military, so I'm a military brat.
Really? Me too.
Yeah. Oh, you too?
Yeah.
I was born overseas. I was born in Germany, but I've lived all over the US and settled in Virginia when I was like 12. I went to high school here. I went to college. I went to UVA. Then I went to law school at Howard Law. Then I moved overseas and taught English in China for a year. I lived in Spain for a year during undergrad. And then I worked for the DC government for about 6 years doing utility regulation. And that's when I was like, dating in DC. So I bought a
Yeah.
condo in DC. I lived in DC. I was running up and down, all the different neighborhoods, 14th Street, DuPont, Foggy Bottom, Georgetown, everywhere, like
Everywhere.
everywhere. And so that's really when the pain point of like trying to find someone really started to land on me as I was, in my late 20s, kind of getting into my 30s and being like, wow, like it's so hard. And so that's really what kind of was the catalyst for starting CarpeDM.
Wow. Now, it's so funny. You were running around everywhere.
Everywhere. I'm telling
Sometimes.
I'm telling Black women, I did the legwork. I was on these dates and I was, giving people chances like, oh, this guy is not really my type, but let me just see, maybe this is a good
Yeah.
fit. And so I did a lot of the market research myself.
What makes you qualified to do this? It's like I've been through it.
Have receipts, and then,
Yeah.
we had a dating app on the market for a year. We had a viral virtual dating show called Lovecast where we matched singles for virtual video dates. We have a dating show on YouTube that we did called Dating in the City. We did over 20 episodes. Yeah, I've
You've done
blogged
it.
all the things, tons of customer discovery, focus groups, industry research, books read.
Wow.
So it's a passion of mine. Like, I'm very passionate about connecting people generally, and it's exciting for me to be able to live that through Carpe Diem and helping people find love. Because I think that sometimes dating apps are trivialized in society, but I think that they play a huge role in something that's so critical to like just the human experience of loving and wanting to be loved is just so like
I mean,
necessary and
yeah.
essential. Yeah, so I try to think about what I do as actually vitally important to most people's lives. And so that's another reason why I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah. What advice can you offer to Black women that are, feeling kind of down and kind of, at a loss?
Mhm.
And just, how can you, or what advice can you offer them to, in finding love?
Yeah. Not give up for one,
Yeah.
right? So love finds you in the most random places. I think that the majority of singles today find love online. Like, that's where majority of relationships are formed. So it's no longer being introduced through your friends or through your parents. So I would say don't despair, right? Like, you have to kiss a lot of frogs in order to find your prince. It's very true. Like, we hear the one-off stories about the person that bumped into somebody at the supermarket and that's how they find love, but majority of us have to do the trial and error. I think live and build a life that you love, right? Like, instead of trying to become a person that someone else can love, like, build and live a life that you love. Like, have your hobbies, have your experiences that you love to do, but then always have an eye out while you're doing those things for love, right? And so that's where you potentially could meet someone. If you love to paint and you're in a painting class, you may run into someone. If you love to go to the gym, be open to seeing if, like, who's around you. And then he's not going to break into your house. So you got to get out of the house. I think that we've had a culture shift since COVID, and I talk about it with my girlfriends. We don't want to go nowhere.
I do not like leaving my
we
house.
we don't want to go
What's the
nowhere.
point?
We don't.
Yeah.
And so I think that you have to, similar to how you invest in your health, in your job, you have to invest the time into making yourself available and putting yourself in the spaces that allow you to meet someone. So even if it's just like, you know what, one night a week, I'm going to go to a different restaurant, happy hour time. I'm going to go by myself. I'm going to go to the bar. You can go by yourself. That's the best way to go. I'm going to go by myself. I'm going to sit at the bar. I'm going to drink a drink and I'm going to, smile. I'm
Look
going to be,
cute while doing it.
I'm going to look around. I'm going to feel open and I'm going to be open, right, to my surroundings. And see how that goes, right? Like, if you put that investment in and you put yourself out there like that, I think that people will be surprised by the results.
Wow. Mesa, thank you. Great advice. Tell people how they can find the app and how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. So you can find the app. It's on iOS devices. So if you go to the App Store, it's Carpe, CAR, the letter P, E, and then DM, the letter D, the letter M. And then you can apply through our website. So it's CarpeDMDating.com. And then find us on social media, across all social media at CarpeDM Dating. So we're very active on IG. We're trying to get active on TikTok. So if you're so inclined, like, follow us on TikTok. We're trying to, like, make that a thing. And then you can find me. I'm most active on IG. I'm at CarpeDM Boss.
Perfect. Mesa, thank you so much for being on the show.
So,
Great advice.
you know, come to me. I'm no shortage of advice. I don't know if I always practice what I preach, but I can preach for sure.
There you go. Well, Mesa, I'm so excited to see where Carpe Diem goes. Definitely call us. Let us know when there's big news. And
I
when
will.
you launch into other cities, let us know.
I will absolutely. And thank you so much for your time and for sharing our story with your audience. And I would just be remiss if I didn't thank my team, my co-founder, all of our matchmakers, everybody that makes CarpeDM possible. Like, there really is a whole team behind me that is equally as passionate about helping Black women find love. And I certainly could not do it without them.
I love it. Thank you, Naza, for being on the show. And thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next time.